Sir. Arthur Leywin is 7 years old. He wakes up every morning in a house that smells like pine wood and his mother's cooking. And for a boy who was once the most powerful king in a world that no longer exists, that should feel like a punishment. It doesn't. He has a little sister now. He has a father who actually shows up. He has something he never had in his first life, a reason to stay soft. That's it. That's the whole contradiction sitting inside this child's chest. But the world he has been reborn into does not reward softness for long. This is Dicathen, a continent where mana flows through the air like blood through veins, where humans and elves and dwarves exist in a fragile political truce that everyone pretends is peace. There are dungeons beneath the earth that breathe out monsters. There are beast tamers and mages and warriors who have trained their whole lives to reach power levels that Arthur, in a past life, surpassed before he even had a throne. Magic here is measured in phases. Mages awaken their cores as teenagers, usually. They spend years climbing. They bleed and study and sacrifice just to touch the first wall of real power. Arthur remembers being a king. He remembers what it felt like to have mana so refined it bent the air around him. He was King Grey, feared, legendary, utterly alone. He died alone. He woke up as an infant, and he made a silent decision in that crib. This time would be different. Not just stronger, different. He begins training before he can properly walk. He begins sensing mana before his tutors even know what to look for. By the time he reaches the Magic Academy at Xyrus, he is already something that does not fit cleanly into any category this world has built for itself. And he is not the only dangerous thing walking around in a child's body. There is Sylvie. A bond forms between Arthur and a creature that should not exist yet. An Asura dragon, ancient and impossibly powerful, condensed into something small enough to nestle against his neck. A bond that is not just magical, but fundamental. Sylvie does not see Arthur as a weapon or a king, or a prodigy. She sees him, the soul underneath the strategy. That matters more than any power ranking. That matters more than he would ever admit out loud. He has friends at the academy. Real ones. Tessia, the elven princess, bright and sharp and carrying her own set of inherited expectations. There is warmth between them. The kind Arthur did not allow himself in his first life, the kind that makes him train harder not because he is afraid of being weak, but because he is afraid of watching someone he loves get hurt in front of him again. He builds connections. He lets people in. He chooses, deliberately, consciously, to be someone worth knowing. Then Dicathen begins to crack. The threat does not announce itself. It does not arrive with a declaration or a marching army. It seeps in. Rumors of a beast wave building beyond what any natural cycle should produce. Whispers of something coordinating in the dark, something with intelligence behind the chaos. And then, in the way that catastrophe always works, it stops being a rumor. The attack on the elven village of Elenoir is not a battle. It is a statement. It is deliberate. It is precise in a way that natural monsters are not precise. Arthur is close enough to feel the scale of it, the loss, the smoke, the specific horror of watching a place that meant something to someone he loves get reduced to silence. Tessia's home, her people, her grandmother, Saria Aerolith, the woman who carried generations of elven grace in her posture and warmth in her eyes. She dies, not heroically, not in a blaze that means something. She is taken by the tide of something bigger than her, and Arthur watches the light leave a place it was supposed to live forever, and he feels something he has no language for. Not grief, exactly. Not rage, exactly. Something that sits underneath both of those things. The understanding that this world, this second chance, this family he has been building one relationship at a time, it is all fragile. It was always fragile. And the forces moving against it do not care about any of it. He fights, Of course he fights. But fighting in the moment, reacting, arriving almost in time, it is not enough. He knows this. King Gray always knew this. You do not protect people by being strong in the moment. You protect people by being 17 steps ahead of the moment. Arthur Leywin decides something in the aftermath of Elenoir. He does not say it aloud. He does not write it down. He just decides. It is time to stop being a student. The regression is not physical. He does not rewind time a second time. What regresses is his approach, the warmth he kept in the front of his chest, the willingness to be surprised, the part of him that let himself be a child in a child's body and enjoy it. He does not throw that away. He tucks it somewhere safe. He visits it sometimes, when Sylvie curls close, when his sister laughs, when his father's hand lands on his shoulder. But it is no longer the thing steering him. What steers him now is the part that used to wear a crown. His mana core, already beyond what most adults in Dicathen will ever reach, deepens. His training becomes something that would frighten his instructors if they could see all of it. He is not reckless. That is the important distinction. Recklessness is what gets people like Tessia hurt. What he pursues is precision, depth. The kind of power that does not announce itself and does not waste itself. He seeks out the asuras. He travels beyond the comfortable borders of his young life into places that carry real danger. The kind that does not scale down for children. He does not go to these places asking for protection. He goes learning. He is recognized in the way that certain ancient things recognize other ancient things. Not as a boy, but as something that has already been worn into a specific shape by forces most people never encounter. The power that awakens in him during this period is not loud. That is what makes it dangerous. The mana he refines does not crackle or flash or beg for attention. It settles. It deepens. It becomes so thoroughly his that it starts to feel like a second skeleton, structural, invisible, holding everything else up. The draconic affinity from his bond with Sylvie does something to his core that no textbook at Xyrus has a chapter for. He is climbing past phases that senior mages spend decades trying to touch. But power without direction is just a disaster waiting for a location. He has a direction now. The old Arthur, the one who arrived at the academy wide-eyed and genuinely delighted to have friends, he worked hard and trusted openly and let himself be 17 years old. He told people things. He let his face show what he felt. He sat across from Tessia at dinner and did not calculate every word before speaking it. The new Arthur moves differently. It is not coldness exactly. It is precision. He remembers every conversation he has ever had about the threat building against Dicathen. He maps the players, the noble families with too much interest in instability, the political figures who responded to Elenoir with words that were perfectly shaped and completely empty. He notes who arrived at the Elven Summit with grief and who arrived with preparation, because someone who is already prepared for a tragedy that hasn't been announced yet knew it was coming. He catalogs, he plans. He does not rush. Because the thing about being the most powerful king in another world, the thing King Gray understood at a cellular level, is that power alone does not win. Information wins. Timing wins. Letting your enemy believe you are exactly what they expect you to be, that wins. He already knows which noble houses have been moving resources toward the border in patterns that do not match defensive logic. He already knows that the beast wave was not random. The specific types, the specific timing, the specific locations all point to coordination from something with long-term objectives. He already knows that the Academy, for all its prestige, is a place where the powerful send their children, and therefore a place where leverage gets concentrated in one location. He already knows who among his instructors reports upward to interests that do not align with Dicathen's survival. He already knows that Tessia is carrying grief that is making her brave in ways that could get her killed. He already knows that Sylvie is more than a companion. She is a variable that none of his enemies have accounted for because none of them understand what she is yet. He already knows the shape of what is coming before it arrives because he has lived through the shape of what comes when good people wait too long to take it seriously. He is not waiting. When the confrontation finally arrives, not a single moment, but a sequence, an escalation, a series of choices made by people who thought they were operating in the dark. Arthur is already inside it, not reacting, positioned. The ones who believed they were hunting a prodigy find something else looking back at them. It is in his eyes. That is where it always lives. The thing that cannot be performed and cannot be hidden from people paying close enough attention. Eyes that contain absolutely zero warmth. Not cruelty. That would be too simple, too emotional. Just clarity. The particular clarity of someone who has already processed every version of this moment and is now simply executing the one that works. He does not need to raise his voice. He does not need to perform anger or grief or desperation. Those are tools for people who need their enemies to feel something. Arthur needs nothing from them. He requires only their removal from the spaces they have been occupying. This is the thing that the first life cost him and the second life taught him, that the goal was never to be the strongest. The goal was to be the last one standing between the people he loves and everything that wants to destroy them. King Grey had the power and none of the reason. Arthur Leywin has both. Not vengeance, not glory, not even justice, not in any clean philosophical sense, just protection. Chosen, deliberate, structurally sound protection. The kind you build before you need it, not after. That is the quiet revolution happening inside a teenager who remembers being a king. He is not trying to reclaim what he had. He is building something that will not collapse. Something worth holding. Something worth bleeding for. If this hit, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to other Manhwa fans. Subscribe to Plot Vault EN so you don't miss the next recap. And drop the name of the manhwa I should recap next in the comments.